welcomed me. You were so hospitable, and I just want to say, Medase! Love you. Sorry? Oh, okay. Well, Nigerians in the house, should I stay or should I go back? I'll consider that. I have put my thoughts together. I'm not one to talk or speak too much. I like to keep a lot of things to myself. Yeah. But today, this is a place, the right platform, to reveal certain things about my journey that has never been revealed before. First of all, I am deeply honored and privileged to be here at the second edition of Women of Valour. Did I pronounce it well? Women of Valour, founded by the remarkable, beautiful, kind Nana Aba Anamoa. Thank you for creating this very important, timely platform. It's much needed. This is an event that resonates with me because it celebrates courage, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of women and girls. When I accepted this invitation, two questions came to mind. First, the name of the event, Women of Valour. Women of Valour. You know, I was just wondering, it sounded like something, from the old time, something from Game of Thrones. You must agree that the name is not typical. It demands attention. It commands respect, The word valor conveys a sense of bravery, determination in the face of adversity. And this perfectly aligns with Nana's mission to empower and uplift women and girls. By naming the event Women of Valour, she is shining a much needed light on the importance of recognizing and honoring the remarkable contributions of women who have overcome obstacles, defied expectations, and made significant strides in their personal and professional lives. The second question I asked myself was, why me? Have I lived a courageous life? What have I done? Have I taken an active role in determining my own goals and aspirations? Have I crushed a few of those stereotypical perceptions of women? As I reflect on these questions, I am reminded of the popular saying by Eleanor Roosevelt, a woman is like a tea bag. You can't tell how strong she is until you put her in hot water. Isn't that right? Let me share a small snippet of my own hot water moments traversing the film industry in Nigeria. My mom said when she gave birth to me, I literally came out of her stomach singing, dancing, and it was like lights, camera, action in the word when she gave birth to me. And then growing up, I was captivated by the allure of television, the magic of storytelling. In fact, as a baby, I remember my older sister telling me that I would watch every and anything on television, and I will have this very serious stare, even when they're talking about if it's news or shows, things that a baby doesn't have any business with. I'm staring at the television with serious, deep concentration. So they started calling me TV eyes from when I was a child. And then I dreamt of gracing the screens, captivating hearts with my, dramatic performances. I used to perform a lot for my sister's friends. They would come to the house and they would dash me small money and biscuits and sweets and tell me to perform for them. Well, do something now, act, dance, sing, And then I carried on doing that. But you see, back then, the respected professions were, the medical practitioners, lawyers, engineers, architects, actors were seen as wayward and unserious. Like we didn't know what we were doing. Who are these layabouts that don't have sense? Oh boy. My dream seemed unattainable at the time. But you see, what prevented me from giving up my dream were two things. The unwavering support of my mother. Another woman, my mother. I was blessed with a courageous mother who defied societal expectations at the time and nurtured my dreams. Her support was a guiding light, propelling me forward even in the face of uncertainty. I found out recently, because I always wondered, where did this talent come from? My older sister told me, about 4 years ago, that my mother actually, at the age of 20, wanted to become a photographer. But her father refused because it was a taboo for the first daughter to be doing photography. So that just put everything into perspective, like I now understood. It felt like she wanted me to live this dream of hers, Now, fortunately today, everybody believes content is king. I see young people creating content and their parents see a future in the industry, but that wasn't the issue, wasn't the case back in the day. Sharing my mother's story, my mother's support story, just to say that one day you might be the courageous person who supports another woman's dream, even if it's not your own child. You might be the shoulder of another woman to lean on. Serena Williams tells us every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We are strongest when we cheer each other on. I have been in this hall since, let's say, for the past 2-3 hours, and it has been so electrifying having women speak, connecting, engaging, inspiring, motivating. My goodness. Nana, I don't think you know what it is you have created. You have created something magical, and I thank you for that. Now, the second factor that kept me going was my unshakable belief in my dream of becoming an actor. Simply holding on to that dream required courage, especially, considering the uncertainties of the path ahead. Despite having parental support, embarking on this journey demanded courage. I went to study theatre arts in University of Port Harcourt, and I majored in acting. In fact, I was actually the only student who majored in acting in our final year. The others ran away from it. They went, the directing side, wardrobe side, and all. I found myself being the only person who majored in acting in my final year. Luckily for me, my first role in Nollywood was pure luck. After struggling for a few months in Lagos, I ran into an old student of, who studied theatre arts in the same University of Port Harcourt, theatre arts department, but he was a few years ahead of me. His name is Basoj. Well, his name is Baswe Etaria, popularly known as Basoj, is a comedian. So I ran into him in Lagos after months of struggling and trying to, get a part of the film. And then he says to me, I'm looking to cast an unknown actor in this story, and I think you fit it perfectly. So, I thought it was a joke, and then luckily he gave me the script, and that's how I went on to do my first lead role in Nollywood. In fact, my first movie in Nollywood. Okay. Then acting in school, we're not taught to act for film, so we're taught to act on stage. It's completely different. When I got on set, I was so confused. I did not understand what I was doing there, but thankfully, Basoj was very patient with me. He guided me through it, and he told me that, look, on stage, we're taught that it's good that you should exaggerate when you're on stage, doing drama, being, larger than life. But in front of camera, it's very subtle acting. So I had to learn all these things afresh, even though I had studied theatre arts in school. Now, when you start your career with a leading role, it can trick you into thinking that, oh, this is it, I'm right. I'm now a big star. It's going to be, I'm going to keep playing all the big roles, lead actor, acting roles and all that. After that initial high and the excitement with jobs dried up. And then, to make matters worse, my mother, my rock, my support system died. I'll never forget the day in 2001 when I watched her die. I held her in my arms, my older brother and I, and my father. We watched her die and she slipped away. It's something that never really leaves you. She died in 2001, but I think about a week ago, I still thought about her, and the tears came again. It never leaves you, to be honest. You get stronger, it gets better, but it never leaves. Well, it was just unbearable for me because for me, I felt like she was supposed to be here celebrating with me, watching me chase my dreams. She was part of this process, She made sure each time I go to school and come back, I'll do my homework and then she'll prepare me for children's variety programs where I go to perform during the weekends. So she was very, very instrumental to who I am today, And then after that, I was in a bad place. I felt like there was no reason to keep going on, I remember being on the plane, going back to Lagos after she had passed. She passed in my state, where I'm from, Imo State. And then we'll have to go to Lagos and get necessary things to come back and plan the burial. Now I remember being on that plane, and to be honest, it was such a turbulent flight, but I did not flinch because I wanted it to crash. I was praying that I want this plane to crash so I can see my mother and be with my mother again. That's how I felt, And then it's a very empty feeling anyway. Now you see, I'm the youngest in my family, and while I was still in secondary school, my older siblings had all moved back to the UK because they were all born there. I was only one born in Nigeria. Anyway, that's a story for another day. After our mother's funeral, they all returned back to their lives abroad. Then life for me took a turn for the worse, both emotionally and financially. My father's health declined because, when a couple, when they're very close and one dies, it affects the other one. I think my father actually stopped living the day my mother died. So he became ill, his health declined, and then, my siblings managed to move back to the UK, and I was now all alone in Nigeria. I found myself losing faith in the slow growth of Nollywood. Waiting months between jobs felt like an eternity. And then I lost some people whom I thought were friends, very close friends. In fact, some friends I considered family. It was just a very turbulent time in my life. I don't want to dwell too much on that period, but it led me to hitting rock bottom in Lagos. And when I say rock bottom, I mean rock bottom. I became homeless. I was squatting with people for a stretch. And when I say squatting, I'm talking about 3-4 people in a room. It was a friend's space, and I was staying there, Choose your friends wisely is one advice I always give to young girls in my industry. It's very important to choose who, there's something the man said, choose your friends. It is very important to have friends who share the same vision, goals with you, people who your visions are aligned, and people who bring the very good energy, because the sort of energy you put out in the universe is the sort of energy you receive. That's something I always tell people. So you have to be very careful the sort of energy you surround yourself with, and also the sort of energy you're putting out there in the universe. Well, eventually my siblings found a way to get me out of Nigeria. Then I lived with my brother and his family for a while in London. And gradually started getting myself together. Now, during that process, I put my dreams of stardom on hold. Many of you don't know, but in 2001, 2002, I stopped acting. I left the industry. I moved to London because it was a very dark period in my life. Like I said, I had these issues and, I just fell out with some friends I considered family. And I just gave up acting for a while. I needed to get out of, just leave that space for a minute. And then I moved to London and I gave up stardom, and then, you won't believe it, this is something I've never told people before, but while in London I was trying to make ends meet. I started working in a care home as a caregiver for adults with special needs. While some might view it as a step down, I don't. You see, taking care of others brought me joy and purpose at a time I needed it most. Because remember, I took care of my mother and my father when they were ill, because I was alone with them. And when I say taking care of, I'm talking about really taking care of. Because you see, when you get really ill, it's sometimes become incontinent. So I took care of them at that level. So it was a no-brainer for me. Okay, fast forward 2003. I had saved, some money to return to Nigeria to get my stuff, and then just finally relocate to London. Nollywood was now beginning to thrive. In fact, they were now calling it Nollywood. We used to call it Africa film industry or Nigeria film industry at the time. And then some of the producers were urging me to stay. I felt it was risky. I didn't want to lose my job. And also I had started a drama school in London. I had just paid the fees before I came to Nigerian holiday. Right before I went to Nigerian holiday, I keep thinking, I'm in Nigeria, And then one day, Genevieve calls me. You all know Genevieve, right? Yes! So Jenny calls me a few days before I was to go back to London, and she said, oh, I've given your number to a producer for a film. And I'm like, I'm going back. And she's like, well, just listen to what he has to say. She was one of the people that advised me to stay back and go back to London. Well, I stayed back, and then one thing led to another. I met with the producer. The producer signed me